On New Year's Eve, my daughter-in-law said, "We're putting you in a home. You're useless now." I packed one bag and left. Crying at the bus station, a woman heard my story, made one call and said, "Dad, I found him. We're putting you in a home. You're useless now." Jacqueline said it while pouring Veuve Clicquot into crystal flutes, the champagne I'd helped pay for with the last withdrawal from my pension account. She didn't even look at me when she said it, just kept tilting the bottle at a precise angle, watching the bubbles rise like my entire life wasn't collapsing in real time. Behind her, through the kitchen window, I could see the party setup. String lights wrapped around the pergola I'd helped Mason build 2 summers ago. The mahogany outdoor table where I'd served exactly 47 family dinners since moving in. The flagstone patio I'd pressure washed every spring because Mason's back hurt. My son, the boy I raised alone after lymphoma took his mother when he was 9, stood 3 feet away, studying the floor tiles with the intensity of an archaeologist. The Italian porcelain tiles I'd contributed $4,000 toward when they renovated last year. He said absolutely nothing. I waited, counted to 10 in my head, gave him the space to be the man I'd raised. The space to say, "That's not happening, Jacqueline. He's my father." Nothing. "The facility in Riverside has openings," Jacqueline continued, examining her manicure. "They take Medicaid. We've already called. Someone's coming Tuesday to do the assessment." My hands were shaking. I pressed them against my thighs so she wouldn't see. "I don't need a nursing home. I'm 76, not incapacitated." "You fell last month." "I tripped over Tyler's skateboard." "You're becoming a liability, Gerald." She finally looked at me. Her eyes were the color of antifreeze. "And frankly, I need the space. I'm converting your room into a meditation studio. The energy flow in that corner of the house has been blocked for years." The energy flow. I'd lived there for 3 years. Cooked pot roast every Sunday, cleaned the bathrooms every Thursday, picked up the boys from soccer practice 42 times, made myself small and quiet and useful, hoping that useful eventually meant wanted. It didn't. Now I was just old, taking up valuable square footage in the room where Jacqueline needed to align her chakras. Mason finally spoke. "It's for the best, Dad." His voice was soft, apologetic, gutless. "For the best." I looked at my son, really looked at him. When did he become this? When did the kid who used to climb into my bed during thunderstorms turn into a man who could dispose of his own father like outdated furniture? "I raised you alone," I said quietly. "Worked 2 jobs after your mother passed. Made every single one of your basketball games. Paid for your college. Where do you think the down payment for this house came from?" "We've been over this." Jacqueline's tone sharpened. "That was a gift. You said it was a gift." "It was. Because he's my son, and I wanted him to have a home. Well, now we're giving you a home too. Just a different one." The cruelty of her logic was breathtaking. I stood up. My knees creaked. 76 years of teaching 5th grade will do that to you. "I'll pack tonight. The assessment isn't until Tuesday," Mason started. "I'm not waiting for Tuesday." I walked out of the kitchen. Behind me, I heard Jacqueline say, "Well, that was dramatic." Mason said nothing. Again, the bedroom they'd given me had been Mason's childhood room. I'd repainted it cream when I moved in, but you could still see the glow-in-the-dark star stickers on the ceiling if you looked closely enough. I'd put those up in 1994. He used a ladder that was too short and nearly broke my ankle. Everything I owned fit into one large suitcase and a backpack. Clothes, toiletries, my wallet, the framed photo of Mason's mother that I'd kept on the nightstand, a small wooden box containing her wedding ring, and the Medal of Valor the school district gave me when I retired. That was it. 76 years distilled into 32 pounds. I sat on the bed and wrote a note on the legal pad I kept in the nightstand. "Mason, I won't be here when you wake up. Don't worry, I'm not going to the facility. I'll be fine. I love you. I always will. But I won't stay where I'm not wanted. Dad." I left it on the pillow, took one last look at the ceiling stars. Then I walked downstairs. They were all in the backyard. Jacqueline's laugh cut through the evening air, sharp and performative. Someone had turned on music. Through the window, I saw Mason's 2 boys, Tyler, 14, and Owen, 11, setting up fireworks with their cousins. Nobody saw me leave. The bus station on New Year's Eve is where hope goes to die. I sat on a plastic bench molded to prevent homeless people from sleeping on it, my suitcase wedged between my feet, staring at the departure board. One bus to Millbrook, 10:47 p.m., Track 3, Millbrook, population 4,200, where I'd grown up. Where my parents had owned a small Cape Cod on Birch Street that passed to me when they died. I hadn't been back in 11 years. The house was probably falling apart, but it had my name on the deed. The only thing in this world that actually did. I had $3,000 in a credit union account Mason didn't know about. Money I'd been saving from my Social Security checks, $20 at a time, hiding it like a squirrel preparing for winter I didn't think would come. It had to be enough. That's when the crying started. Not quiet, dignified tears. Huge, choking sobs that came from somewhere deep in my chest and wouldn't stop. The kind that shook my whole body. The kind that made other people waiting for buses look away uncomfortably. Because this wasn't just about tonight. This was about every single time I'd made myself smaller. Every dinner I'd eaten alone in my room while they laughed downstairs with friends. Every time Jacqueline had introduced me as Mason's father who lives with us, in that tone that made it sound like a character flaw. I'd survived losing my wife. Survived 39 years teaching in an underfunded public school. Survived arthritis appendicitis and 2 heart stents and the slow erosion of becoming invisible. But knowing my own son saw me as a problem to dispose of, that broke something I didn't know could break. Sir? Excuse me, sir. I looked up through blurred vision. A young woman in navy blue scrubs was crouching in front of me. She had kind eyes and a stethoscope draped around her neck. I'm fine, I lied, wiping my face with my sleeve. She glanced at my suitcase, at the bus schedule clutched in my shaking hand, at my face, which I knew looked exactly like what it was, an old man who'd been thrown away. I'm a nurse, she said gently, and you're definitely not fine. Can I call someone for you? The word someone made me laugh. A broken, ugly sound that didn't belong to me. No one to call. She stood up, then sat down next to me on the bench. I'm Debbie, she said. Debbie Martinez, and I'm not leaving until you tell me what's wrong. Why do you care? Because it's New Year's Eve, and you're crying alone in a bus station with a suitcase. And because I'm a human being. She pulled a pack of tissues from her bag and handed them to me. Talk to me. Maybe it was her kindness. Maybe it was loneliness. Maybe it was because strangers are safe in ways family can never be. I told her everything. My son, the daughter-in-law, the nursing home assessment scheduled for Tuesday, the meditation studio, the 3 years of making myself useful, the 47 family dinners, the pressure-washed flagstone, the $4,000 for Italian tiles, the glow-in-the-dark stars I'd put up 29 years ago that were still there, faint ghosts of when my son used to love me. She listened without interrupting, holding my hand in both of hers. When I finished, she pulled out her phone. I need to make a call. Please don't. I don't need police or social services or not that kind of call, she said. Just trust me. She walked about 10 feet away, her voice urgent but too low for me to hear properly. I caught fragments. Found him. Yes, I'm absolutely sure. Dad, you need to come right now. I don't care about the gala. This is more important. She walked back and sat down. Help is coming. I don't understand. Who did you call? Mr. Harrison. Do you remember teaching 5th grade? A long time ago? The question threw me completely. 39 years. Coleman Elementary. Why? Did you have a student named Dale Martinez? Dale. The memory hit me like a physical thing. Small kid, thick black hair, enormous brown eyes that took in everything. Immigrant parents from Honduras who worked 3 jobs between them and still barely made rent. Winter of 1985. Dale had shown up to school in January wearing canvas sneakers with holes in them, 2 sizes too small, his feet red and blistered from the cold. His coat was a windbreaker that did exactly nothing against Chicago winter. I'd bought him shoes, real winter boots from the Salvation Army store, only $12. A heavy coat that was slightly too big but warm. I'd told him they were extras from my nephew who'd outgrown them, so his parents' pride wouldn't be hurt. I did it because a 10-year-old kid shouldn't have frostbite. You remember him? Debbie whispered, watching my face. Dale was one of my brightest students, but I don't understand what. He's my father. Her eyes were wet, and he's been looking for you for 40 years. The bus station tilted. I grabbed the edge of the bench. Mr. Harrison, you changed his life. Those shoes, that coat, the way you told him every day that he was smart enough for anything. He got scholarships, full ride to Northwestern, then Northwestern Law. He's one of the top civil litigation attorneys in the state now. Senior partner at Martinez and Associates. She showed me a photo on her phone. A classroom picture from 1985 that I'd forgotten existed. There I was, 40 years younger, hair still dark, hand resting on the shoulder of a small boy in the front row wearing a blue coat that was too big for him. He keeps this on his desk, Debbie said. Talks about you constantly. About the teacher who saw him when he was invisible to everyone else. Every year on your birthday, September 14th, he still remembers. He tries to find you. Checks every database, every directory. The school said you'd retired and they didn't have forwarding information. My throat closed. And tonight, New Year's Eve, I found you. Before I could respond, the glass doors of the station burst open. A man in a full tuxedo strode through, scanning the sparse crowd until his eyes locked on mine. Those same enormous brown eyes. Older now, successful, but I knew them instantly. Mr. Harrison. His voice cracked when he said my name. Dale? He crossed the distance in 4 strides and pulled me into a hug that smelled like expensive cologne and something I hadn't felt in 3 years. Safety. Debbie told me everything, he said when he finally let go. His hands were still on my shoulders like he was afraid I'd disappear. Your son, the nursing home, the meditation studio. You're not getting on that bus. I can't just... Yes, you can. He pulled a business card from his pocket. Dale R. Martinez, senior partner, Martinez and Associates. An address in the Loop. You're coming home with us. Tonight. Right now. Dale, I appreciate this, but I can't impose... Impose? His laugh was sharp. Mr. Harrison, when I was 10 years old, you bought me shoes because my feet were freezing. You told me I was smart enough to be a lawyer when I didn't even know what a lawyer was. You gave me a future. Let me give you one back. Debbie drove us to Dale's house in Evanston. Not a house, an estate, stone facade, 3 stories, circular driveway, the kind of place I'd see in magazines and think, people actually live like this? Dale's wife Elena met us at the door. She was beautiful, graceful, and immediately ushered me inside like I was an honored guest instead of a charity case. Mr. Harrison, she said, taking my coat. Dale talks about you so often, I feel like I already know you. The guest suite is ready. Debbie made sure of it. The guest suite had a fireplace, a king-size bed with a down comforter, a bathroom with heated floors. I sat sat on the edge of the bed and cried for the second time that night, but these tears were different. The next morning, Dale sat me down in his home office. Floor-to-ceiling bookshelves, original artwork, a desk that probably cost more than my annual Social Security income. He'd changed out of the tuxedo into jeans and a Northwestern sweatshirt. His feet were bare. He looked more like the 10-year-old I remembered. "Tell me exactly what happened with your son," he said. "Every detail." So I did. The whole 3 years. The financial contributions I'd made. The caregiving. The isolation. The way Jacqueline spoke to me. The moment in the kitchen when she announced the nursing home. Dale took notes on a legal pad. When I finished, he set down his pen. "Mr. Harrison, what they did is called financial exploitation of the elderly. In Illinois, it's a felony if the value exceeds $50,000. I don't want to press charges against my own son. I'm not suggesting criminal charges yet, but you contributed significantly to that household. You provided services, you gave them money, and in return they tried to institutionalize you against your will to seize your living space." He leaned forward. "That's not love. That's abuse." The word made me flinch. "Here's what's going to happen," Dale continued. "First, you're staying here as long as you want. This is your home now. I have a house in Millbrook, which we're going to renovate. Elena's brother runs a construction company. We'll make it structurally sound, accessible, beautiful. If you want to live there eventually, you can. But you have options now. You're not cornered." He pulled out another legal pad page with numbers on it. "I had my assistant pull property records this morning. Your son's house is worth approximately $800,000. You contributed the down payment, how much? $60,000 in 2019. That's not a gift in the legal sense unless there was written documentation that specifically stated it was a gift with no expectation of return. Was there?" "No, I just gave it to him. He's my son." Dale made a note. "What else?" "You mentioned paying for Italian tiles. $4,000 last year. Renovation costs, groceries, utilities. I covered groceries most of the time. Maybe $300 a month for 3 years. $10,000, give or take. Services rendered, cooking, cleaning, childcare. I hadn't thought about it like that. I picked up the boys from school or practice, made dinner most nights, cleaned the common areas." Dale's pen moved rapidly. "Childcare at market rate, $15 an hour, conservatively 20 hours a week for 3 years. That's approximately $46,000. Housekeeping services, another $10,000. Mr. Harrison, you contributed roughly $130,000 in combined cash and services to that household." The number stunned me. "What I'm going to do," Dale said quietly, "is write your son a letter on firm letterhead, explaining exactly what he's done, outlining the legal definitions of elder abuse and financial exploitation, and offering him a choice." "What choice?" "He returns your financial contributions in full, or I file a lawsuit and make this very, very public." Dale's voice was steel wrapped in silk. "I'm very good at what I do, Mr. Harrison, and I've been waiting 40 years to repay you." The letter was delivered by courier on January 3rd. I saw it because Dale showed me a copy. 4 pages of dense legal prose that essentially said, "You betrayed your father. Return his money, or I will destroy you in court." It was beautiful. Mason called Dale's office on January 4th. Dale put it on speaker. "This is extortion," Mason said. His voice was shaking. "No, Mr. Harrison, this is accountability. Extortion would be threatening criminal charges in exchange for money. I'm simply informing you of potential civil litigation. Very different." Dale's voice was perfectly calm. "You have 10 business days to return the documented contributions your father made to your household. $64,000 in direct payments, conservatively valued services of another $40,000. We'll settle at $104,000 total. I don't have that kind of money. You have equity in a home worth $800,000. Take out a home equity line of credit. Sell the Italian tiles you had such poor judgment to accept money for from an elderly parent you subsequently tried to institutionalize. I don't particularly care how you get it, but you will get it. My father wouldn't want this. Your father is sitting right here," Dale said, "and he's finally being protected by people who actually care about him. 10 business days, Mr. Harrison. The clock started yesterday." He hung up. I was shaking. "That was intense. That was necessary." Dale looked at me. "He doesn't get to throw you away and keep your money. He doesn't get to pretend he's the victim here. What if he doesn't pay? Then I file the lawsuit, contact every media outlet in Chicago, and make him famous for all the wrong reasons. But he'll pay." Dale smiled. "They always pay." He paid. A cashier's check for $104,000 arrived via certified mail on January 13th. Dale had it deposited into a new bank account he'd helped me set up, an account with only my name on it. I stared at the balance on my phone, $107,243.16 with interest. It was more money than I'd ever had at once in my entire life. "This is yours," Dale said when I showed him. "Your security, your future, your choices." But the money wasn't even the best part. Jacqueline left Mason in February. I found out through Tyler. The kid, God bless him, had gotten my new phone number from Dale and called me one night. "Grandpa?" His voice was small. "Mom's gone." "What do you mean gone?" "She filed for separation. Said Dad's a failure and she's not going to carry his financial burden. She took half the furniture and moved in with some yoga instructor named Chad." "The yoga instructor. Of course. How's your father?" "Not good. He cries a lot, won't come out of his room." Tyler paused. "He deserves it, doesn't he? For what he did to you?" The question question hurt. Your father made a terrible choice, but he's still your father. Be kind to him even when he doesn't deserve it. That's what love looks like. I told him he got what he deserved, Tyler admitted, for letting Mom kick you out. You're a good kid, Tyler. I miss you, Grandpa. I miss you too. By March, the house in Millbrook was finished. Elena's brother had worked miracles. New roof, new windows, the kitchen gutted and rebuilt with accessible cabinets and a walk-in shower in the bathroom, fresh paint, hardwood floors refinished. It looked like a home from a magazine. My home. Dale and Elena helped me move in, bought me furniture, stocked the refrigerator, set up the internet. This is too much, I protested for the 100th time. It's not even close to enough, Dale said. I'd been living there for 2 weeks when the doorbell rang. It was a Tuesday. I was arranging daisies in a vase, something I'd started doing because they made the kitchen table less lonely. I opened the door. Mason stood on the porch. He looked like he'd aged 10 years in 3 months. Rumpled clothes, unshaven, thinner. He was holding a grocery store bouquet of carnations that were already wilting. Hi, Dad. I didn't move, didn't speak. How did you find me? The check. The return address was your attorney's office. I called them. They wouldn't give me your number, but they gave me this address. He held out the flowers like a shield. Can I come in? Why? Because you're my father. Because I need to talk to you. His eyes were wet. Because Jacqueline's gone. The boys barely speak to me. Tyler told me I got what I deserved. Owen won't even look at me. I lost the house. I have to sell it. Can't keep up the mortgage without her income. And I realized the only person who ever loved me unconditionally was you. And I threw you away like garbage. The apology I'd wanted 3 months ago. But I was different now. I looked at my son. Really looked at him. Saw the boy who used to climb into bed during thunderstorms. But also saw the man who'd stood silent in the kitchen while his wife called me useless. I appreciate you saying that, Mason. Hope flickered in his eyes. Can I come in? Can we talk? Can I explain? Explain what? That your wife controlled you? That you were too weak to stand up for me? I know that already. I was wrong. You were cruel. My voice was steady, calm. You watched her dismantle my dignity piece by piece for 3 years. You took my money and my labor and gave me a room where I could be invisible. You planned to institutionalize me so she could have space for yoga. I know all of that. And I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Good. You should be. Can we start over? Can I visit? Can we do Sunday dinners again? I looked at the wilted carnations, at his desperate face, at the life I used to have before I realized I deserved better. Not today. Please, Dad. Trust is heavy, Mason. Once you drop it, it takes a long time to pick up the pieces, and I'm still picking. What does that mean? It means I need time. It means I'm building a life that doesn't revolve around making myself small for other people's comfort. It means I love you, but I don't trust you, and I won't pretend otherwise. His face crumpled. How long? I don't know. Maybe 6 months, maybe a year, maybe never. Time doesn't fix betrayal. Accountability does, and you haven't done the work yet. What work? Figuring out why you let her treat me that way. Going to therapy. Learning to stand up for people you love. Becoming someone I can trust again. I took the carnations from him. Thank you for these, and thank you for the apology. But I'm not ready for more than that. Can I call you? Can I try? You can call. If I'm not busy, I might answer. That's all you'll give me? That's all I have to give right now. I stepped back and closed the door. Through the window, I watched him stand on the porch for a long time. Then he walked back to his car, a Honda Civic, not the BMW he used to drive, and sat in the driver's seat with his head on the steering wheel. Part of me wanted to run outside, to forgive him, to make it easy. But the bigger part of me, the part that Dale Martinez had reminded existed, knew I deserved more than being someone's afterthought. I put the carnations in water. They'd probably die in 3 days, but they'd still outlast my son's regret. That evening, Dale called. Heard you had a visitor. How did you know? Tyler called Debbie. Kid's a good one. Dale paused. How are you feeling? Lighter, I admitted. Is that wrong? That's exactly right. You set a boundary. You protected yourself. You did what he should have done for you. Dale's voice was warm. I'm proud of you, Mr. Harrison. Gerald, please. I think you've earned first name basis. He laughed. Gerald, how's the house? Perfect. Too perfect. I keep waiting for someone to tell me I don't deserve it. You deserve everything good that comes your way, and more is coming. Elena wants to invite you to dinner next week. She's making tamales. Says you need to meet the whole family properly. I'd like that. Good.
Because you're family now, Gerald. Not the kind you're born into. The kind you choose. And we choose you. After we hung up, I sat in my kitchen with the lights low and the daisies on the table and the weight of 76 years of living finally feeling manageable. Somewhere in Chicago, my son was grieving the relationship he destroyed. Somewhere in Evanston, a man I'd bought shoes for 40 years ago was making sure I knew I mattered.
And here, in Millbrook, in a house with my name on the deed, I was learning what it felt like to be chosen. It felt like coming home. The moral of the story isn't forgiveness. It's not revenge either. It's knowing the difference between people who love you and people who need you, and having the courage to walk away from the ones who can't tell the difference. I never did invite Mason for Sunday dinner, but I did answer his calls, sometimes. And 6 months later, when he showed up to therapy on his own and could finally explain why he'd failed me without blaming Jacqueline or making excuses, I let him visit. We're building something now, slowly, carefully, but it's on my terms this time, because Dale Martinez taught me something my own son couldn't. Sometimes the family you find is stronger than the family you're born into, and sometimes being loved means teaching people how they're supposed to treat you. Even if it takes takes 40 years to learn the lesson yourself.